Hey guys, welcome to another Test and Tune video, and on this episode we're testing out the ALDI Headlight restoration kit. Now this is a car that we're currently doing up and the headlights are faded. Now normally I would just hit it with a buff and that would sort of give it a good enough look, but while ALDI have come up with these kits that are pretty damn cheap, they're about half the price of what you'd pay at an auto store for a headlight restoration kit, we thought we'd give it a go. Now we're going to focus on this headlight for the video. Hopefully there should be enough in the kit to do both, but we'll do that separately, and this is the worst of the two. Yeah, I think we'll just crack on with it. We'll get the kit open and see what's in there. Yeah, let's have a look at what's in the kit. Okay, so before we get into it, let's crack the box open and see what you get for your 15 Australian dollars in the headlight restoration kit. You get what you get in pretty much all headlight restoration kits. Now, when we had our old business, we used to sell quite a few of the Philips InVision restoration kits, and I have used those a couple of times, and I reckon this is, do you reckon it's a copy of that kit?
It's probably going to be the same thing. Obviously, there might be slightly different ingredient, although probably not. It's going to come with, yeah, a few wet and dry grades.
A ton of cloths.
Wow, they don't miss you there.
Which is good.
Yeah, it is good. Gets a bit messy doing the wet and dry if you've got a nice car.
And then we obviously have the headlight polish and the sealer. Now I just want to check what grades of wet and dry they're supplying. We have 2000, okay, quite a lot of 2000. There's 3000. Holy, we've got 5,000.
Oh, okay, this is going to take a while.
So yeah, that's much less aggressive than what we'd normally use on a headlight restoration kit. So 2,000, 3,000, 5,000.
Wow,
I think
going to take so long.
It is. Luckily this headlight's not terrible. All right, let's get into actually doing it. Okay, so I guess with any headlight restoration, what you're doing, you're removing the crappy plastic. So you can either polish through with it, which will take forever in some cases, or you can wet sand it. Now the ALDI kit actually does recommend trying just the polish on their first step, and then if the polish doesn't work, go to the wet sand. I've done so many headlights over the years, I know this will not come clear with just a polish. A polish will hide a lot of the marks, but within a month or so it will look just as manky as it does right now. So we need to basically remove all of this pitted and sun-affected plastic and get down to the good stuff. So we're going to start with the wet sanding approach. Now in the ALDI kit it says start with a 2000 grit wet sand, which we're going to do in a horizontal fashion. Once we've done that, we will switch to the 3000 grit, which we will do vertically, and that helps level off any of the wet sanding marks that the sandpaper is going to put in, or wet and dry is going to put in, and then they say to finish it with the 5000 grit. So let's crack on with that.
This is actually what the kit comes with, multiple pieces of 2000, 3000 and 5000 in that size, with a small foam sanding block as well, which, well, it's not very big, but it's good to get into those corners and that sort of stuff. So, it's a pretty simple process.
Why did you put the masking tape on?
Just in case. It's probably not going to be an issue with this little tiny piece of sandpaper and on this car, but just in case, if you do go over the edge of the headlight and hit the paint or the panel or the bumper, you don't make any marks, you just hit the masking tape instead.
I think this kit's going to do it, but normally we would do this with a 400 grit for the first step.
And all of that, I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but there's like a clear coat on the plastic lens, and that's what deteriorates. And at the top, where it was really bad, it has been ground off with that 2000 grit. But down here, it's still there, so you get a patchy section where it goes from clear to no clear.
I think it needs another hit with that 2000 before we go to the next step, I reckon.
Just keep going then.
All right. Okay, so that's the second hit with the 2000, and I've done it basically just pushing as hard as I could into the lens. Yeah, it's definitely coming clearer. Still a bit of a rough section. I'd really like to just hit this with some aggressive wet and dry. But because we're not going to be machine polishing this to a finish, I guess we don't want to put too many grooves in there. I think onto the 3000. Okay, so this is the 3000 grit. I'm just about coming to the end. Now, doing the vertical motion is a hell of a lot more time consuming than being able to go across the headlight. Obviously, you don't have as much movement. Yeah, and basically all I'm doing with this, you can actually feel through the sand or the wet and dry, you can feel when you've gotten through the roughness that the 2000 has put in there, surprisingly. Yeah, so it's just a matter of getting all around the headlight, making sure you've got a consistent finish with the 3000 grit before moving on to the 5, because if you don't smooth this off enough, going on to the next step will be a waste of time. Now, you may have seen in the time lapse, we did do a fair bit of this without the foam block. It's just because it's such a light grade of wet and dry, you can just push harder without that foam absorber in there to try and get through the nasty bits earlier. But for finishing this step and the next step, we will use the foam block just to make it more even finish. And I reckon that will just about do.
Did you see the GP was cancelled?
So that is all. It does look better than it did with just the 2000, but you've still got a clear line where we've worn through the clear coat. It'll be interesting to see how it looks with the final finish. All right, on to the 5000. It almost looks like it's had a polish.
It almost does. That is by far the finest.
In all the headlight restorations we've done, we've never used 5000 grit before.
Yeah, and it's left such a smooth finish. I don't think that's going to need much. For example, one spray of water.
Looks glossy.
Yeah, it starts to gloss straight away. So I think with there's still 2 steps left in the kit. You've got to polish it and you've got to seal it. So we'll get onto that now, but I'm thinking that even though there's no machine and it's just by hand, it's not going to need much of a polish to put a gloss onto that, give it a shine over, and then with the sealer added on top as well, it should look pretty good, I reckon.
All right,
let's hit it.
Okay, so it's had 2 coats with the polish, and it's definitely not perfect, but it is better. So we'll apply the sealant, and we'll see how much that hides of the remaining imperfections in the headlight.
Is that going on pasty like the polish was?
No, this almost feels like a moisturizer.
Really? Okay.
It's very, very thick, very, very waxy, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That was only a small dab.
But it spread the entire way.
It does not smell like a car polish in any way.
Did you grab your moisturizer bottle instead?
So, if this was in a hotel kit, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, from back here, that has put a bit of a shine on it.
Cool. All right.
But we've definitely done better headlight restos. Oh, it feels nice. Feels like a new headlight with that sealer on it.
Okay, so that is the final coat of the headlight sealant. And I mean, it's definitely darkened the headlight a bit, but it's not as clear as I would like. And I think that just comes down to ALDI have provided a very, very light grade of wet and dry, and it's not cutting into the headlight enough. As we mentioned earlier, we'd normally start with a 400, then an 800, and then a 1200 if we're going all out. But yeah, it's just been too gentle. So although it has got rid of the exterior yellowing to a degree, a lot of the imperfections and that are still very visible in the lens. Look, all in all, for the 15 bucks, it's going to make your headlights look a hell of a lot better. It has got that sealant on there, which has got a UV protection. So hopefully it'll stay this color for a while, not go yellow again. But yeah, look, it's a bit of a difficult one to recommend. I'd probably just do it a more professional way. Nip to Repco or Supercheap, get some proper grade wet and dries and have a crack at it with a more manual process. And even finish it with a machine if you can. Anyway, look, that's going to be the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and we will catch you on the next Test and Tune.